Okay, so this is Razzle and Remington, and although I banded their oldest chick 48 hours ago and he was perfect, today I went in and looked and he is badly splayed. I don't know what's up with that, but I have a suspicion. They've been getting a lettuce leaf with, I put some calcium in their water because they've had problems with splayed leg babies before. But a very low dose because you can't give them a whole bunch. But it has been doing just fine. And generally, once a chick is 10 days old and banded, you're not going to run into splay-legged problems. Well, in 48 hours, he went splayed. So here's the thing that happened. I started feeding them. The weather cooled off, so instead of a plate full of water with a lettuce leaf in it, they got regular vegetables. And I think what happens is Remington loves her vegetables so much that she stops drinking the water and just eats all the vegetables. And poof, if the chick was anywhere near going splay-legged, he goes, because all of a sudden his calcium supply is cut off. So, no more vegetables for Remington, and that's something I had to think about my feeding regimen. And I have had a lot of trouble with splay-leggedness, and if it's because the chicks are getting fed a bunch of vegetables that don't have any calcium in them instead of water with a calcium supplement, then I have to stop feeding them those vegetables, at least while their chicks are young. They're a nice soft food for older chicks to eat, but maybe in those first few weeks when the chicks are growing at a hugely rapid rate, feeding them vegetables, their parents are filling up on it, filling the chicks up with it, and it's not enough dense nutrition to keep the chicks going. That's what I'm trying to say. I am also losing a lot of embryos. Now, there's a couple of different things that this could be causing. Is, first of all, two of the embryos were ready to hatch. I opened up the eggs. One of Remington's babies and one of Fluffy's babies were supposed to hatch and didn't, and I waited for a few days and nothing happened, so I opened up the eggs and found fully formed chicks in them. But the thing is, the air sac in the egg was in the wrong place. The air sac is supposed to be up in the biggest end of the egg and up in the end. And then there's a membrane and the chick is on the other side of the membrane. When it goes to hatch, it breaks the membrane and so that it can access the air in the air sac chamber. And that helps give it the strength to push out of the egg. Well, the air sacs, instead of being centered in the top of the fat end of the egg, were actually one side of the air sac was up at the very end, and it went down the side of the egg. In which case, the chicks can't break the membrane, because when they put their feet down in the bottom of the egg and push their head up towards the air sac, they just reach the top of the egg instead. And they don't have the traction. So a misplaced air sac is why I lost two of their babies. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the other one. So there is no other fertile eggs in Fluffy's nest. So the fourth embryo fizzled a while ago, I guess. Well, I shouldn't say fertile. They're no longer living eggs. They're dried out or, just rotted inside or whatever. So I've lost a lot of embryos this time around, and I wonder if it's because of the heat. Why did two of those air sacs end up developing in the wrong place inside of the egg? Is that related to the heat? I don't know. So I'm moving to a place where this might work for other people, but what I'm thinking is summer breeding is not optimal. Because I've lost a lot of embryos, and I'm not really clear why. Somebody else pointed out that I'm candling the eggs a lot, so that could have something to do with it too. Maybe I'm messing up the embryos when I move the eggs around. So I'm going to look into, there's apparently a candling pen that you can just point it at the egg in the nest and not have to pick up the egg and move it around. So I'm going to look into that because I do need to candle eggs if I'm going to do this embryo reduction thing. Sprite and Fluffy have 2 babies. They both look very good to me. They're not getting any more vegetables. I mean, the mixed vegetables that I give them, which is the carrots and the corn and all that kind of stuff, I'm not giving them that anymore because I suspect that I have just discovered that's why I've had so much rickets, because the parents stop drinking water and start feeding babies bulky food that doesn't have enough calories in it. So, apparently the lettuce doesn't bother them because when they were on straight lettuce with instead of mixed vegetables, because it was really hot, the babies did fine. But 2 days on mixed vegetables and the baby goes splayed. So let me see if I can give you a peek. I taped him. I think Remington's already pulled the tape off. He's bad though. I taped him and I'm giving her, let me put the towel in here because she's distraught. Move over, Missy. Yeah, I'm gonna towel you. I tried to, her last baby went splayed as well, and I tried to tape him and that didn't work because she wouldn't leave it on. It's on there. She hasn't pulled it off immediately like she did last time, but give her a little time, she probably will. So, I've taped him up. I'm hoping. I'm slamming them with a huge dose of calcium in their water, so I'm hoping I can turn that around. But he's pretty old. The thing is, he's pretty old to even be going splayed in the first place. Usually they do it way earlier than that, so I'm not really clear, but yeah, so no more vegetables for birds with babies. The mixed vegetable mix, I should be specific. The frozen vegetable mix that I give them, I think the parents are porking out on it, and it's not enough nutrition for the babies. So, I'm going to back them off to just straight seed and, their spray millet and water while I do a little research and see what I should do, what I can offer them that gives them a little nutritional variation while they're bringing up these babies. But, these are seed-eating birds. And, we want to give them all these dietary supplements and everything, but really, they're meant to eat seeds. And a seed is a very, very dense nutritional thing. So, I think, I'm going to look into it and ask around and see what's happening, but definitely, because that's what I did in the last 24 hours, that is what changed. I started putting platefuls of mixed vegetables in there instead of a lettuce leaf. Okay, I'm glad I think I finally figured that out. Maybe I'm going to have less rickets at this point. I was thinking that the rickets that I had before, and I've had a high rate of rickets, was because the parents were nutritionally deficient in calcium going in. So I've been supporting them with that, but now I'm looking at this and going, okay, Remington laid 8 eggs. There's nothing calcium deficient about laying 8 eggs. And Razzle here is in fantastic shape. So that's not it this time. It's something else. So they're getting a big hit of calcium for them. Taped up the baby. Hopefully Razzle will leave the tape on. That would be lovely. She never did last time, and I had to put the baby down. So I'm not holding my breath. We may be down to 1 baby at this point. But I think the good news is that I think I've actually figured out what went wrong. These two are doing absolutely nothing. I have a feeling we are in the off season for breeding cockatiels, which is not a good thing because this is the hot season when the babies would live even though the parents don't sit on them to keep them warm. So my only other option for breeding cockatiels in my climate would be to bring them indoors. And that, in fact, is the only time my cockatiels have ever bred successfully was when I kept Pearl and Zoo in the house. In fact, they were in this cage, and this nest box was literally 2 feet from a wall heater. And it was the dead of winter, so it ran all day long. So I didn't know it, but they had the perfect setup back then for raising a chick, and they have never had that since. So, I don't know. I'm going to leave them in here for a while, but there's just nothing happening here. They're not interested in the box. They like each other. They're friends. They know each other and stuff, but there's no mating activity. There's no flirtation. There's no territorialness. Well, let me see. Is Zoo going to get defensive about his territory? Hi, Zoo. No, he doesn't care. I think this is not happening. The other thing that I think I decided is I kind of realized I was holding, this is Sparky and Lilith. I was holding Lilith in here with a bunch of infertile eggs, because I was thinking I was going to foster, anything extra that, that Bond and Breezy make into these guys. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I have never gotten a chick from Lilith. And if I tie her up raising Breezy's babies, who are late hatches and won't be out of the nest until the middle of September, then I cannot turn around and breed her the 1st of October. Because she'll be only 2 weeks off raising a whole set of babies that aren't even hers. So I think I've gone backwards on this. I'm going to put them out in the big flight, let them rest. Because by the time Breezy's babies are done, it'll be time to populate this shed with 18 cages and do the fall breeding. Because the window of the months of October and November is one breeding season for these birds. And the months of mid-March to mid-May is the other breeding season, and I don't want to have to wait another 6 months to see if I can get any biological babies out of this pair. So yeah, because although Breezy and Bond are a high-value pair, these guys are a high-value pair too, and they need to be raising their own babies. So last time I checked, there was one Remington egg in here that was still viable, and one of her own eggs, this is Rainbow and Buster, that are fully a week apart in age. The embryo's developing in there. So I'm going to check again, but what that would mean is that I could take Breezy's first hatch and stick it in here, and it would be in between the two widespread babies that she's got. So I could feasibly make room for 4 of Breezy and Bond's babies. On the embryo reduction thing, now I can sit here and say I've lost so many embryos that if I hadn't reduced them, then I'd probably have more chicks in the nest. I mean, with this one baby going splayed on me, these guys are going to raise 1 chick. But I don't think that's a sign that reducing the embryos is a bad idea. I think that perhaps the season or the candling, and definitely that my feeding practice of giving them the vegetables is definitely contributing to all these embryo losses. Because in the spring when I bred them, I lost very few embryos. So, because I wasn't candling and yada yada. So, I'm not letting go of the embryo reduction thing, because I know for a fact now, and the more breeders I talk to, the more sure I become, these birds cannot raise more than 3 chicks effectively. In fact, raising 3 chicks isn't even optimal. Raising 2 chicks is the most effective. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave Breezy with 4 embryos, 3 for her and 1 for Rainbow, and call it at that. If I don't get all of them, that's okay, because Bond is a baby. He's a 2017 bird, so he's a year old at most. And Breezy's still young and in good health, so I can get lots more breedings out of these 2. Drink your calcium, Missy. Drink it. Go feed it to the baby. These 2, I will get 1 egg out of them. But the embryos, the chicks that they have in this nest are the older ones, so they're going to hatch a week or more before Breezy's last baby. These guys' babies will be hatched. Their nest will be up and running a full week before Breezy's. So even though they're raising 1 of their own chicks. So that's good news. And they're still a high value couple, and I would like to breed them again in the fall. But it's it is possible that they could be done by 3 weeks before October 1st. I crunched numbers. That they would be done raising these chicks by 3 weeks before October 1st. They could go in and rest for 3 to 5 weeks. I could put them in a couple of weeks late and they would be okay. Because they are both in good shape. So, but yeah, these two, look at these two. This is a high value pair. I can't waste their energy raising somebody else's chicks, especially birds that are going to breed again and again. When Sparky is 4 years old and Lilith, I don't have an age on her, but I don't know. She could be old. So yeah, we're going to pull them, put them in the big flight, let them rest up for the big move in October. Okay.